Emily's family parties felt like stepping into a warm photograph. Cinnamon in the kitchen, cousins flooding the living room, someone topping off my glass before I noticed. I knew which uncle recycled the same joke, which aunt would say I looked thin, which song her mom played when the cake appeared. It was our ritual of belonging. Emily glowed here. She floated from hug to hug, cheeks pink, hair tucked behind one ear. I watched her, proud in that quiet way you're proud of someone's light. 3 years married, and I still thought I get to drive home with her. Maybe that's why I ignored it at first. She kept orbiting her cousin Darn, the golden one, with the easy laugh. They've always been close, sure, but tonight the closeness had a shine. Not bright enough to blind, just enough to make me squint. I caught moments like drop stitches. His hand lingered on her shoulder a beat longer than necessary. She angled her body toward him after the conversation moved on. Their eye contact felt like a private hallway. I heard their laughter by the sink and felt it without knowing the joke. Babe, can you grab the candles? Emily asked, giving me that soft automatic smile that usually lands like a hand on my cheek. Tonight it landed and slid. Yeah, I said. I took too long at the junk drawer, rubber bands, spare keys. A broken corkscrew because the drawers suddenly mattered. When I returned, she wasn't where I'd left her. Darren stood at the island, licking frosting off a knife, grinning at someone out of frame. I anchored beside her mom and carried plates. I laughed in the right places, leaned into the warmth. The house swelled with that big family hum, a chorus of love. I told myself it was fine. They grew up together. Who reads weather from the way shadows fall across a room? Still, under the cinnamon and music, a colder thread moved. Not a storm, just a draft you can't place. I folded it small. I pressed it down with cake. Small talk. A story I'd told before. Tonight, I decided I wouldn't be the guy who makes something out of nothing. I'd be the husband who trusts the woman he loves. I breathed deep, smiled wider, and let the warmth win for now. Asterisk, my phone buzzed in my pocket. Twerk. I almost let it die there. But the screen flashed a client name I couldn't ignore. I mouthed 1 minute to Emily across the room. She didn't see me. She was laughing at something Darren said, her hand lightly at her throat like she always does when she's charmed. I slipped through the sliding door, the winter air pinching my face. The yard was that soft kind of dark where the neighbor's porch light turns breath into ghosts. Music leaked from the house, warm as soup, in my ear. The client droned about timelines and deliverables. I paced the frost-slicked deckboards and said the right business words while watching my breath unravel. My eyes drifted, the way they do when you're pretending to listen, through the slats of the porch. Beyond the wreath and the shadow of the grail, I saw them. Emily and Darn had come outside too, to the front step where the light from the hall made a golden triangle. They stood close enough that their coats brushed. She smiled up at him with the smile she saves for stories that touch her soft places. His head tilted as if he were catching every syllable before it fell. He touched her arm, fingers gentle, possessive in the way that pretends it isn't. She didn't pull away. She didn't even glance round. She leaned in, laughing, and her hair fell across her cheek. He reached to tuck it back. The world narrowed to that small, obscene tenderness. Are you there? My client asked, tinny and far. My heart started hammering hard enough to move air. I pressed the phone tighter to my ear as if I could hide inside it. My mouth went dry in a rush. The way it does when you almost crash your car and somehow don't. The cold bit through my shirt, but heat filled my face. I said, and my voice broke. I'll call you back. I hung up mid-sentence, rude enough to cost me money. And I didn't care. On the step, Emily said something I couldn't hear and touched Darren's wrist like it was familiar. Shock isn't a shout. It's a lock. I stood there, glued to the deck, listening to my own pulse that in my ears. The cynic in me tried to bargain cousins, childhood, inside joke, but the picture wouldn't bend. It was already setting like wet concrete. I slid the door open and stepped back into the heat and noise, my hands shaking. I found my shoes by the mat, my voice somewhere behind them. I wasn't going to wait for a different angle or better lighting. I knew what I'd seen. I was going to ask her right now. Asterisk, the heat of the house hit like a lie. Laughter, clinging, glasses, a cousin yelling for more ice. I moved through it with my hands open, like I was carrying something breakable. Emily stood by the buffet, head tilted toward Darren. The way flowers lean toward light. Emily, I said. My voice came out clean and hard. She turned, a smile forming then flattening when she saw me. Darren's hand slid into his pocket, the universal place to hide. I saw you, I said, on the step. The party kept moving, but the room narrowed round us. She set her plate down. I watched her search for a safe story and not find one. I never meant for it to happen, she said at last. It just did. The sentence was a knife disguised as a sigh. Darren started to say my name. I didn't look at him. He drifted away like smoke. How long? I asked. Not long, she said. After Thanksgiving. I was lonely and she stopped. I'm sorry. In the kitchen, someone started the cake song, voices rising as if the house itself believed in simpler problems, candles and frosting. I tasted ashes. We're leaving, I said. In the car, silence climbed in. With us, street lights washed us in pale squares. Emily twisted her wedding band until the skin beneath went red. I don't have a speech, I said. Just pictures I can't stop seeing. I ended it. She whispered, like a bandage placed on bone. I should have told you. At home we didn't turn on the lights. We stood in the dark of our living room like tourists in a museum of our life. I wanted to choose something sharp and irreversible instead. The only honest thing I had was, I can't see past this right now. I'll do anything, she said. Therapy, space, whatever you want. I lay awake and counted the quiet. Morning would want a verdict. I didn't have one. Maybe forgiveness is a road you can't find at night. Maybe you wait for the sun and see if it's still there. If you were me sitting where I am, the picture still burning behind your eyes, what would you do?